Hey guys, my name is Logan Shinholster, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Contractor Growth Network, which doesn't sound exactly the same as Contractor Sales Academy, but the two companies work together on a lot of things. So don't mind the name, definitely watch the content because it's the exact same message. I hope you like it. Check it out. So speaking of self-aware, in Profit for Contractors, you talk all about the Craftsman Cycle. And it seems that most people that are in this Craftsman Cycle have no idea until they finally go, oh crap, I'm in the cycle. So could you touch on, first off, what is the Craftsman Cycle? And second, how can you identify if you're actually stuck in it right now?
Yeah, so that in my book, Profit First for Contractors, we identify what I call the Craftsman Cycle, and what I found in my experience in starting a construction business, and what in dealing with clients, and even before I became a business coach, I found myself answering questions from other people in my network that were, we're kind of, I wouldn't call it a mastermind group. Everybody has their friends that call them up and say, hey, what do you do? How do you price this? Or, do you have a contract for that? Or do you have a subcontractor that can do this or whatever? So answering those questions, I realized when I stepped back to write the book that there's this thing called the Craftsman Cycle. And it really, the way that you get sucked into it, there's two things that lead to it: lack of time and guessing. So there's 4 phases of this cycle. And if your listeners haven't heard about this before, sit down because you're about to get smacked in the face, because I'm about to describe probably your life up until this point, or if you're out of the Craftsman Cycle, you will remember these days being like, yep, that was the first 7 years of our business. Here are the 4 phases. It is price work, get work, produce work, find work. So it starts off when most of us have started construction businesses. We were working somewhere else before, and we said, hey, I'm gonna go work for myself. And let's say that you were making, I don't know, 30 bucks an hour. And you say, now I'm in business for myself, and I know that my boss charges my time out at, I don't know, 50 bucks an hour, 60 bucks an hour, whatever it is. And so you think, oh, I can make some more money. I'll charge myself out at $50 an hour. And so what happens is you go out and you start getting, you start pricing work, and it starts as side jobs or whatever. It starts out small, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is where everybody starts, but you're guessing at what your price should be. And for most construction business owners, they start out and they produce great work. So what happens, and I'll ask you this, what happens when you do really high quality work for a really low price?
You have to start finding money elsewhere.
No. What I'm saying is you produce high quality work and you're not charging a lot for it. You get a lot of work.
Yeah, okay.
So we go out, we price work, and then a few weeks later, a few months later, we turn around, we're like, I got all this work. Look at all this money. It's more money than I've ever made or ever had. And you start,
I'm booked out 3 years.
I'm booked out a year. Look at this.
Yeah.
I just started a bit. What's everybody complaining about? Like, business is awesome. I know I got to hustle and grind and do all that bull crap, right? But that's what it is. And woohoo, I'm making money. So it starts off with pricing work, and you're probably pricing your work too low. Then what happens is you get all of that work and you're excited. That's the second phase. You price work based on a guess, and you think it's great. Now you get the work. That's awesome. Now you're booked up. Now your time is gone because you're spending most of your time pricing more work and talking to people and making sales. Now the third phase, now you start producing the work. That's when your time is eliminated and the money is gone, because now you have to start spending money, and you realize, I don't have enough money left to pay for this project. So what do I got to do? I got to go the fourth cycle. I got to go find work. You have no money, you have no time. And so the most important thing of calculating the numbers and understanding exactly what your costs are and what you should be charging. And when you figure that out, when you figure out what you should be charging, your clients are going to say no, because they don't want to pay your higher price, but it's the only way to stay in business. So then you make desperate decisions and you go and find work you're really finding work to pay for the end of the current job that you're on. When you find that work, you go right back into the cycle, you price it, and then you get it, and then you
Hmm.
produce it, and then the same thing happens again and again and again. So that is the craftsman cycle: price work, get work, produce work, find work. And it's vicious, and it has to do with guessing at your numbers and the elimination of your time. But the way that you break out of that cycle is by saying no more, that what I'm doing now is not producing a profit for me. You probably have to raise your prices. You probably need to delegate some work, hire some other people, get some systems in place, and you'll find that the word no can be one of the most profitable words in your business. Meaning when you figure out, wait a minute, I've got to raise my prices by 20 or 30% in order to make a profit. That's just how the math works out. And
Hmm.
then you go talk to a client and you price it correctly, and they say, no, you're too high. You say, great, not a good fit for us. Get
Hmm.
on to somebody else that will pay your price. And that gets into, like, you have to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to sell. And that's a struggle for a lot of construction business owners because they spent years making people happy. The reason, you have to understand, the reason that your clients are so happy, they don't even realize why they're happy. They're happy because you do really great work, you work 80 hours a week, and you don't charge nearly enough for the value that you provide.
Hmm.
Of course they're going to be happy. You're a miserable wreck, but your clients are happy. But then
Yeah.
eventually you can't, it's not sustainable. And everybody out there knows you start putting off clients, you start delaying projects, and you're chasing money. And the whole time you're scared of someone saying no because you want to make people happy. But when you have the systems and the math behind you, and it really is a confidence thing. Hey, you don't want to pay my price? It's not a problem. We can't work for you because
Mhm.
I can't go out of business working for you.
So somebody out there that's listening right now that they go, all right, I'm in this cycle. I realize it now. What is the first step for them? I know you said raise your prices, but like I hear some people go, I raise my prices instead of charging 5,000, now I charge 5,200, but they're still in the red on every project. So what would you say is a good first step to actually getting out of the cycle?
Yeah, you have to know your numbers.
Okay.
Like, you have to. You can't guess anymore because guessing is not going to solve the problem. And when you've got like I said, when you have the confidence of math behind you,
Hmm.
it's so much easier to walk away, to say no, or at least make the decisions that you need to make. Listen, you're on a path. You're on a race to the bottom if you're competing on your price. You got to know your numbers and determine how to sell your value. And I tell my clients this all the time. Like, you have to, what got you here is not going to get you to the next level. And if you've never made any money, then you got to do something, you have to do something different. So the math is the math. And that's the great thing about the math of your business. It will never change. Everything else in your business will change. Market
Hmm.
conditions, materials, building science, all of these things that are outside of your control. But the math of your business will never change. When you can have confidence in that, then that's what starts breaking you out of the craftsman cycle. But the easiest way, the simplest way to do that, and I talk about this in the book, and in fact, it's like the first action item that we say in the first chapter, is you go set up a bank account, call it profit, and whatever amount of money is in your bank account right now, you take 1% and put it in your profit account. Don't touch it. You're not going to miss it because it's just 1%. If
Hmm.
if that is $1,000 in your bank account, we're talking about $10. You're not, you'll survive off of $990. If it's $100,000, we're talking about $1,000, 1%. It's so small, you're not going to miss it, but it starts that habit. You might not know anything about your numbers. You still may be guessing, but you make this small little step, put that money aside, don't touch it, and it will be there at the
Hmm.
end of the quarter, at the end of the year. And for some people listening out there, if they'll do that 1 or 2%, don't touch it. Every check that comes in, just siphon off 1 or 2%, put in that bank account. That's probably the most profitable you've ever been, even at 1 or 2%.
Do you think that this whole craftsman cycle, this is just the construction industry that falls into this boat, or do you think there's other businesses out there that are kind of playing the same game, always trying to, sell more work just to make up for the stuff that they've already got in production right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, the Craftsman cycle is representative of a lot of other entrepreneurial type businesses and other
Hmm.
business owners. I'm sure they have their own struggle.
Sure.
I think that the Craftsman cycle is unique in our industry in the fact that contractors are expected to work for free. And what I mean by that is when you call up your mechanic, let's say for example, you call up your mechanic and
Hmm.
you say, "Hey, my car's broken down or it's having some problems. I don't know what's wrong with it. Can you fix it?" And they say, "Yeah, bring it on in the shop. We'll take a look at it." You drop it off there, and the next day the mechanic calls you back and says, "By the way, Logan, we figured it out. You got a leak in the radiator. One of your belts is slipping, and because we're such good professionals." And we can tell you, you drive this car pretty hard. We check the brakes, your brakes are shot, and you need an oil change
Hmm.
because we're professionals. We looked at more than just the problem you said you thought you had.
Hmm.
And all of that stuff is going to cost you $800 to fix. You want us to fix it. And you say, you know what? I've watched some YouTube videos and thanks for the diagnostic. And I got a buddy of mine that's got some tools. And I think if you'll just give me the information, I'll go buy my own belt. And you know what? I'll do it myself. And the
Hmm.
mechanic will say, sure, no problem. Come down here and pick up your piece of crap. Right? I
Hmm.
mean, he's not gonna say that, but you go down to the shop, and before he hands you the keys, he's going to hand you an invoice for $95 for
Yep.
the diagnostic work.
Yep.
And you are going to pay it every time, and you'll be happy about it. You're not going to argue because he provided you with a professional service. But for some reason, contractors are supposed to go out to your house, diagnose all of your problems, give you their solutions, write it up into a detailed scope of work, break out the labor and material costs, and provide that to you, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not you're going to hire them or not. That is unique in the construction industry, and no one else has to do that.